everybody. Chris Yelsey here with the Travelers Podcast. Thanks for listening. This week we're going to talk about a couple of things, brakes or gas, and how it relates to us personally, as well as how it can relate in the business world and opportunities that we have that come before us. We appreciate your listening, appreciate the views. Please subscribe. We're trying to crank that up to 500 subscribers. We're about 10% there, so we need your support. Thank you very much. So we'll get started here. So I guess I'll just kind of ask the question to myself, what do I mean when I say brakes or gas, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're talking about today. So a couple things. In life, I've learned that, and that's part of the traveler, is just sharing my experiences in life, in business, faith, and so on, is that the brakes are very important sometimes, but they're often overused. And the gas is, I'm a gas guy. I love the gas. You know, I've got the Mustang. Love to drive that thing fast. Love the fast car. Love the shift in the gears, all that. So I'm more of a fast guy. And but there's times we need the brakes too, right? Mm-hmm. So from the personal perspective, when it comes to brakes, James tells us in James chapter 1, verse 19, he says we need to be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to become angry. And I found that I try to practice what's known to me, anyway. I created the 24-hour rule, which I shouldn't say created. It's been around for a long time. I've just implemented it. And 24 rule says that basically when you're in a situation that can be intense or confrontational, or you get fired up and you want to like immediately just come back, you got to practice that 24-hour rule. And I've been doing that very well the last probably 4 or 5 years. And an example of that is I brought something with me. This is crazy. So we had a real estate closing here, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. And once in a while we get attorneys involved. We don't. Buyers do, right? And so June, who's my right hand, she closes all our transactions. I don't typically attend closings anymore. So she's very capable, and deeds and all the paperwork that's involved and so on, dealing with buyers and lenders and even attorneys. So this attorney sends this email that basically stated, let me just read the first part here. On the 31st, we're supposed to close on the 31st of July. So on the 31st of July, she sends this email, the attorney. I'm attaching the contract addendum for your signature. It's incumbent upon you, and again, she's saying this to June, to provide me with a fully executed addendum today by 5 p.m. ! And she sends this 11:24 in the morning, so she gives us like 5 hours to respond. Please be advised that you are in breach of the real estate contract for the above listed properties. Your gross negligence in recording the property and failure to inform the buyer about the lack of recording render you unfit to conduct any business. Your failure to provide proof of recording and having a closing on the date specified in the attached addendum will result in legal action being brought against you for the breach of contract in the court of law.
It's a serious letter. The way she made it sound.
Yeah. And so we ignored that. And then there's some repairs and things that need to be done, and we did all those. And so here's the next part. On the 8th, the 6th, this is Wednesday, and we're supposed to close Friday the 8th. The attorney again. Please provide me with the name of the attorney supervisor who represents you in this transaction. I can no longer tolerate your lack of experience in handling the real estate transaction at hand. And so one of the things that I'm really militant about is my team and my staff, right? Mm-hmm. I will go to the ends of the earth for them. And so June didn't tell me really about the first one, but she shared the second one with me, and I'm like, I was so irate, angry, just very upset, right? And so I had an email. I was fired back. And I said, I need not send that. And then I sought counsel with a couple friends, and less is better. So here's how I responded. I sent this, by the way, to the buyer. Mm-hmm. Never talked to the attorney. I've never met the attorney, don't care to meet her, don't need to talk to her. I said, here's what I said. June's been with me for 17 years, and as such is more than capable to handle any affairs as we close nearly 100 transactions per year. Based upon the combative nature of your attorney and attempts to intimidate her and my staff, along with your continued punch list items on a 1-year-old property, filing is effective and final with no more contact or negotiations. Number 1, final walkthrough. When you look at a property, buy a property, always have a final walkthrough, make sure everything's fixed, everything's okay, things like that. Final walkthrough will be at 10 a.m. tomorrow with yourselves only. We are not and will not allow any inspector on our property. They want to have a home inspector come through that did the initial inspector come through again to look at the property. We've never done that. Okay. All items per your request have been completed other than the quote paint chip on island, paint chip on the door frame, neither of which we could find. As a goodwill gesture, we leave some paint underneath the kitchen. There'll be no more additional items underneath the kitchen sink. There'll be no more additional items added after your walkthrough. None. Leaking faucet, air conditioning not working, etc. Certainly we will address. Bring your picture IDs as they will be required to enter our property. That's right. Number 2, executed and closing docs will be dropped off tomorrow morning at X Title Company. Keys and access will be given after funding and closing. Neither June nor myself will be attending closing as we both have previous plans to be out of town prior to the extension. Here's the part. This is all pumping the brakes, right? We were gracious enough to extend the closing date 1 week without penalty. There'll be no more extensions for any reason. I have enclosed a fully executed cancellation form with a full refund. I will assume you will execute and send back should you not show up at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Myself nor anyone from my staff will have no more communication with yourselves or your attorney. Everyone deserves to be happy. In this case, you can decide what is best for yourselves. Best wishes moving forward. Sincerely, my name. Right there it is. Firm, straight to the point, give them an out, gracious, but yet, look, it's okay to pump the brakes in a situation like that. I had to. If I wouldn't have, then it just goes this back and forth.
Right.
And that's super hard for me. I'm a type A on steroids, right? So I have to pump the brakes on things like that. But that's an example of pumping the brakes. The other side of pumping the brakes would be in opportunities. Sometimes we pump the brakes when an opportunity comes by, as we're afraid. I remember when I was first in the business, I had a couple rental properties, and I was scared out of my mind to try to do a deal, right? Fear made me basically polarized, so I would not take opportunities that were presented before me, which is critical because you have to at least explore the opportunities, but not necessarily execute all the opportunities. But sometimes, in the effort to be cautious, we pump the brakes so hard, we come to a complete stop, and then nothing happens.
There's a lot to unravel there because a couple of things, just kind of, let's step back for a second.
Just a second. Yeah, a lot to cover.
The delivery from one person to the other was a little bit stern. So how do you know when to pretty much go at that person, and how do you know exactly when that break needs to happen?
Yeah, I think going at a person, as you say, what does that accomplish?
True.
Did I go at them in that letter?
No, not at all.
Not really.
No.
I just was very factual. If we stick to the facts and we leave the emotion out of it,
right,
there's the key, right? And that's hard to do, right? Because that's my team, that's June, that's my staff, they mean a lot to me, important to me. And you're coming at them? Nah, dismiss, So I think that there's a balance there, and I think it depends on the personality type. But great question. How do you know when to,
And then another thing that I picked up was the fact that, because it almost seems like you had leverage pretty much throughout the whole and control throughout the whole situation as you were responding to that email.
Yes.
With the buyer.
Yes.
The fact that you mentioned no penalties after another extension, if there was another extension that would be asked.
Yeah.
Is that normal that you can
Not no penalties. What I said is we gave an extension
without penalty?
without a penalty.
Got it. Yeah.
Because we're ready to close, right? And in negotiations and sales, and you have to take away the power. And we took away all the power. We brought it back to ourselves. So you have no power. I don't care if you close, and I didn't, because it doesn't matter to me to have grief. Let me put it this way: if a buyer is treating us like that, and their attorney is treating us like that, what's going to happen in the future?
Right.
What's the future look like? It's not worth it. We don't need it, right? It's like, don't care.
I like that. It's like I said, it's kind of like you're always trying to have leverage, making sure that
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And it's a little sketchy. I mean, I lost a little sleep over it. I was bothered, not because of the sale, but because I was so angry, right? I had to really slow down and just be very tempered, sleep on it, give it some rest, and come back with a fresh approach.
And then I hear that you'd mentioned you counseled with others.
Yes.
See, that's something that more people, including myself, need to do, because it's kind of like you're seeking the advice on others that have.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. You should bring that up, because one of the things, as you know, very in tune, with very in tune with trying to, basically be, faith-based in these decisions, right? Mm-hmm. And Proverbs, I was just looking it up here. Just give me a second here. They're right. Proverbs says that, chapter 15, I believe, says plans fail for lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed. So sometimes I have to fall back on that because I'm too close to it, right? I have to seek counsel from people that aren't emotionally attached to it. Let's just be the facts. And that's what happened. I sought counsel, and they said, this particular person said, less is more. Remember that? We've talked about this. I'm like, you are right. So my 3, 4, 5 paragraph, 6 paragraph initial email, smashed it down to 2 or 3 paragraphs, very concise, very factual, dismissed. And by the way, I didn't say the rest of the story. So at 10 o'clock the next morning, they showed up, the buyers, and apologized profusely. They had no idea that their attorney was sending those kinds of emails, is what they said. Now, there's another part of the story, but we don't want to get into that. But that's what they said. So we moved on, and everything went fine, and we closed. So.
Wow, it could have been an opportunity missed for them.
100%. Because the other thing is, I don't know if they knew this or not, but it's a duplex, and the neighbor next door bought a duplex, exactly the same one, right? They bought one half. Another buyer came in and bought the other half that closes, I think, Friday, and they paid $5,000 more than the original buyer. That's the other reason I didn't care, right? I'm like, I don't care. I'll sell for more money, so it doesn't matter to me.
So this kind of worked in your favor. So name a time when an opportunity actually didn't work in your favor. Can you think of something?
For sure. That's the breaks, and that's the the gas when it comes to opportunities. So I'm hopping fences and spraying dogs, reading meters, right? When I'm 27, whatever it was, and for a local utility company. And I decided, back then when I read meters, I could, they give you IBM cards, and you just fill it in, like a test, what the meter reads, And when you're done for the day. So if you hustled, which I hustle, right? 11:30, 1 o'clock, you pay for the full day. So I had all this time, we're newly married, no kids, little poodle, not a lot of responsibilities, right? I'm going to get my real estate license. So I started selling part-time. Was salesman a month, a couple times as a part-time agent. And that's where I wanted to go, right? So in the middle of all that, I'm part-time. I hadn't left, ComEd yet, the electric company. And Subway was just rolling. I mean, it was just getting started. And I applied for a franchise. I thought, what a great idea. So I applied for a franchise. Okay.
Subway?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I applied for a franchise. And they approved me. And they were going to help finance part of it even. I mean, there's only like one other franchisee in the whole area, right? And so I took the idea and I took the franchise agreement. I gave it to a commercial real estate agent that was within our office. And he was older, probably about my age, 60s, And I thought he knew what he was doing, right? Owned a gas station and, had sold it and had some experience in business. I didn't really know anybody. And so he thought, oh, no, that's a bad idea. That's a bad idea. You just kind of, oh, okay, Well, of course, y'all know what happened to Subway. And the guy that actually owned the development rights, which basically means every time you get a bag of potato chips or a Coke or a sandwich or whatever from Subway, he gets a little chunk. I mean, he's what's called the development agent. So he goes and gets stores and he sells franchises and he manages all these and represents Subway and their standards and so on. Anyway, so he did that. And then he said, at last count, he's a friend of mine, I think he had like 140 stores or something. I could have been that guy.
Opportunity waits for no one.
No, that's right. But with that door closed and the real estate world that I'm in now opened. So when one door closes, there's another one that can open.
It's great.
So there's a couple of those things. That's the gas part, I pumped the brakes, on that deal because I sought counsel. In this case, it was bad counsel. That's okay. Still looking for like other opportunities. So there's brakes and there's gas, right? And the book, I brought a book here. This is my book.
I love that book.
And you can see I've read it so much that it's like, this is the original, right? And I've got like, you can kind of see, well, I don't know if the camera or whatever, but
that's such a great book.
You can see like in here, I would read this like every year, like it's like highlighted yellow, red, all this different stuff and different ideas and concepts of financial, just simple financial. But one of them I wanted to share, and the Bible's number one, of course. Mm-hmm. That's my number one book go-to. This is number two. This will teach you more about financial and just kind of, how to really be smart with your money than anything I've ever come across. But one of the stories is that, and this is written in, like this, it takes you back in the city of Babylon. It's written in 1921. So this book's well over 100 years old, right? And it's like a fable, and it's written in really cool format. So it's about a 6th to 7th grade reading level. But it's like a story. And one of it talks about 4, 5, 6 characters. And one of the characters talks about how he was outside the city of Babylon. And there was all these sheep outside the city. And the man who owned the sheep, basically, his wife became very ill, and he had to sell the sheep, heavily discounted. Mm-hmm. And somebody had a chance to buy the sheep, and they're like, oh, I don't know, this and that, they dilly-dallied, blah, blah, blah. Well, meanwhile, something changed within Babylon. They needed the sheep big time. Oh. So somebody bought them, and the price skyrocketed. And the guy that bought them made a ton of money, right? And this is in paraphrasing this, but so the point is, opportunity waits for no one, ever. Opportunities don't wait for you to sometimes make a decision that you need to sit on for a week. Sometimes you don't have a week. Sometimes you have a day. Sometimes you have 30 days. Mm-hmm. But right now, for example, in our market here in the Midwest, contrary to the coast and, both coasts and some in the South, the market's very, very vibrant. very vibrant, very active. And you put a property on the market right now and you try to sell it, you're going to get 2, 3, 4 offers, right? So you got to be ready. So being ready means talk to a lender, get pre-qualified, be available for your realtor to take you around and show you at a moment's notice, because properties come up so fast. So, but opportunity, they don't wait. Opportunities, they come and they go, and it's kind of ebb and flow and through life, right? Opportunities to, basically in business, opportunities to serve others, all kinds of opportunities that we have. So it's brakes or gas, right? You're constantly pumping the brakes and waiting and cautious and that way. Or are you saying, I got my foot on the gas, I'm ready. I want to take this opportunity when it comes in front of me and I want to execute. I want to make sure that I follow through. Does that mean we do foolish things and we make decisions just haphazardly? Of course not. That means we seek counsel. We ask others that have expertise in that field. Again, in the book of Richest Man in Babylon, don't ask me about how to buy diamonds and go to a diamond mine. I don't know anything about diamonds. Don't even ask me about commercial real estate. I don't know anything about commercial real estate. Ask me about residential. That's where I can maybe offer some advice, So if you don't have all the expertise that you need, seek counsel for those that do.
So the question that I have then is, because there's a book that I read a long time ago. It's called Acres of Diamonds. And it, what, don't tell me you have it. Oh, you have it. You have it.
I have it with me.
That's what's cool.
It's a great book.
It has a great book.
It's a great book.
But that's crazy. That was not. Okay, so I know a lot of people, when they wake up, they don't see that there's opportunities all around them. But then you have the same person next door wake up and they see opportunities all over the place. Like, how do you? I'm still blown away by that. But yeah, how can you spot opportunities? Can you explain a little bit?
I think it's really, to be honest, Reggie, it's not necessarily spotting the opportunities. It's having a mindset.
Okay.
My glass is always half full, never, ever, ever half empty, right? I'm a big-time optimist, right? So what does that mean is, it means that you have two people, and here's the opportunity. One looks at the opportunity one way, another sees it in a different way. It's all about the mindset. Are you looking for solutions? When you see an opportunity, are you looking for ways to make it work? Or are you looking for, okay, what's my exit? What if it doesn't work? And what about this? And there's a balance in there. I'm probably a little bit more overly optimistic, but I'll take that any day over somebody that's a little bit on the other side. Because my side works. My side works better than their side.
I like that.
It's mental. It's mental. It's your approach and how you look at it, right?
Yeah. It's definitely mental. There was a gentleman, Les Brown. I'm not sure if you know who he is, but he's always, when I listen to him sometimes, he always says, like, it's better to be prepared for an opportunity and not have it than to be prepared and not have that opportunity. I think it was vice versa, but it's just literally mindset is what you're saying. So how do you create that? That's another question. How do you create that mindset? If
brakes or gas, right? How you have the mindset of brakes or gas. It's really, a lot of this stuff is just, it's simple, but yet it's not simple. It's simple to say, but it's hard to execute. And that is this. When I start getting grumpy or I start getting a little intense or whatever, I'll listen to some amazing Christian music or some crazy cool 70s rock and roll and just get jazzed up. I'll go for a run, whatever, just to purge and get things out of the system, right? And I think that's what you have to do. What are you putting in? What are you eating? What are you feeding your mind? What are you feeding your mind? By what you're watching, what you're listening to, what you're reading. Those are the three things. But the other one is just as critical, if probably not more important than all those three combined, is who are you hanging with? Who's your spear, right? Who's your core group, your friends? They believe in you, or are they smashing you?
Mm-hmm.
You know, who you with? So I think that helps with a lot of that.
That's awesome. I like that. There's different factors that make up or can help with the mindset, but also damage the mindset.
Oh yeah, yeah. And we've all had those people, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've all had those people, and you got to get rid of them, man. It's poison.
What if it's family? Like, how do you? Because that's one thing that I, in a way, sometimes I feel, because I wasn't born in the United States, I really don't have, the families around to say you can't do something. Like, how do you? Sometimes it's really hard to separate family from the things that you want to accomplish if what they're saying is total opposite of what you're wanting to do.
Yeah, I think that's a definite challenge. I think that when we get married, we marry our spouse, but we inherit her family. Mm. And she marries me, but she inherits my family. And there's baggage on both sides. There's always something going on, right? And if you're really honest with ourselves, there's no such thing as like the perfect family, right? We all try to get along and support each other, but all families have dynamics where there's certain circumstances where it's not healthy. And you gotta cut that stuff, man. I'm not saying cut it out completely. You don't have to cut the fat, but you have to trim it. I want to cut it all out. You gotta at least trim it, and get rid of some of that. And that doesn't mean you're mean or you still love them and care for them. They just don't have the same mindset, and they're not healthy for you, So
okay, I like that. Is there another situation that popped up where one door closed?
Oh yeah.
Can you name?
Yeah,
go into the detail?
One comes to mind. I was just talking to my wife about this yesterday. So I'm chasing deals, right? I'm like a bulldog. When I want to do something in my world, in my business world, I like to get after it, right? I just put the vice grips on, like the pit bull, just put the clamps on and I go. And so there's this project in this little town called Rochelle, Illinois, that I wanted. And I was dealing with these two guys. And they had like an option on the property from the landowner. Option. They had the right to sell the property to me from a landowner, right? And I want to do my multifamily project. And there was going to be a new Walmart there. There's going to be all these businesses there and all these things. I spent quite a bit of money. And this is like 2007. And I spent a good deal of money engineering and drawing up a plan and meeting with the city and meeting with the mayor and all these people and their engineer and just going through it all. And I was just pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. And they were wanting me to close and I didn't have all the data I needed. And then the market just blew up.
2007, 8?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Market blows up. And nothing happened, right? Walmart didn't relocate. What they said they're going to develop, it never happened. A regional builder was going to go in that same area. We're going to compete with him. It didn't happen. And there it sits. There it sits. Almost 20 years later, nothing. There's nothing there. There's no residential there. And so that door closed big time. It was like smashed. Like I had to pull my fingers out, right? Mm-hmm. It smashed. And so what happened is when we rebuilt our company in 2013, that's one of the things that helped save it was I didn't invest money and put good money after bad. I was able to pull out of that deal, not close the deal. Then when it came time in 2013 to buy opportunities, fully improved subdivisions from banks and houses from banks, all these things, I had the liquidity to be able to do that, and that just rebuilt our entire company. So that's a huge example of one door closing and another one's opening. And that's another example of mindset training is, man, when 2012, 13, 10, all that mess was going on, man, you really had to have the the kahunas, right, to buy property. Because
Right.
the market is continuing to go down, down, down. And so you're like, well, how do I know? This is crazy. The world's collapsing. What's happening? It's nothing like we've ever seen before other than the Great Depression. And so I had it in my mind half full. The guy, my mentor, I think I talked about Clayton before, he told me, I'll never forget this. He said, you'll make more money in a down market than a rising market. Because in a down market, everything's on sale.
Yeah.
Everything's on sale. I bought lots for 15 cents on the dollar or 10 cents on the dollar, you know, and then I'd sell a few. So without getting into all the details, but we were able to do that because we opened another door of an opportunity, and man, it was crazy times, right? Not a lot of people were doing that, but we had the liquidity. We were very blessed because we sold one of our big assets and we just recycled the money. Yeah.
It almost seems like there's different redirections that took place,
100%.
but the fact that you were able to make quick decisions,
Yes.
because that plays a big part as well too.
Yes.
Knowing to not stay too long and make that decision. So like, how did you learn? Did you seek counsel again, or like how did you know how to do that?
I think that I had some success early, so I had the confidence. You remember the one episode I talked about how I gave the bank 24 hours.
Yeah,
And they took the deal. This
deal.
is one of the things I was talking about. That was like my first one. I said, look, I'm buying something else. Either you take the deal and you have 24 hours, or I'm buying something else. They took the deal.
Took the deal.
See, I had the leverage. Very few buyers out there buying 85 lots. Very few buyers, you know? And so I took the deal, and they took the deal, and we, you know, they moved on, and I made a decent, you know, we did well.
I think you've said in the past too that someone with cash always has leverage.
Oh, yeah, cash is king. There's an old adage, cash is always king. Yeah, just unbelievable. Yeah.
Okay.
Cash is always the best. Always the best. Always will be the best. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what I can see is, even though you're kind of type A, you have that type A personality, you still have a really good way of managing, not managing, but being kind to others. Because that kind of gives the direction on how this whole thing's going to play out. So how does that work? Being kind to others and getting the results that you want.
I think inherently, whatever your religious belief is, right? Whether you're agnostic, atheist, Christ follower, whatever you're Buddhist, whatever it is, inherently God planted within each one of us this moral compass, right? Good and evil, right? We all have that. And I think that it's a lot easier to be nice to people, you know, than to be hurtful or mean or, you know, combative. And an example of that is, I mean, last weekend, my daughter Chris and I, we went to Cleveland and got to see the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Wow. Amazing. Plug for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Phenomenal. And we're going on Friday to get a smoothie. And we park, and there's all these, like, you know, no parking, road closed, sidewalk closed, all this. And so we're trying to navigate how to get across the street, just a downtown area, 30 miles an hour, you know. And the first thing that happened is we're starting to kind of cross, and this guy, he literally stopped his car in the middle of the street, and he waved us on, right? And we waited because there's a sidewalk, there's this equipment, big machinery, these workers that got flags. The guy with flag
going on.
Same thing. He comes out to the road and he puts the flag up, stops traffic, right? And we just walked across, you know, to the other side of the road, right? And I'm like, wow, that's impressive, right? And then I turned back to him and said, thank you, sir. And he said, and you guys have a great day. Wow.
Where was
Wow. Cleveland, downtown Cleveland. I'm like, holy smokes, that's amazing, right? That's powerful stuff. What a lift of your day when somebody does that. Here I am talking about it in a podcast. I mean, we think sometimes that being kind or doing something has to be this big grandiose deal. And it really doesn't. It all ties into just, being nice to people. And what does that have to do with brakes or gas? That just has to do with just being a better human, and really making sure that we be true to ourselves and let people know that we're nice people, And when it comes to kind of tying this into the brakes and the gas, it's like you can pump the brakes and say, I'm too busy to be kind, right?
Right.
I'm too busy. I'm in a hurry. I got my brains elsewhere. I'm skitching through that door there. I mean, that somebody, I'm cutting you.
Right.
Oh man, you open the door and somebody walks through, Versus the gas is I'm focused, right? I'm focused. My mindset is I need to be aware of how I can serve people or just be a better human.
Yeah. It's interesting because that positive thing that happened in Cleveland, it's still in the back of your mind. You're talking about it today in a podcast because of the fact that there were two different people that just showed grace.
Yes.
Like, hey.
Yeah. It's just powerful, just really, really powerful, and affects you. It lifts your day. It makes you feel better, and all those kinds of things. It makes you, feel good about yourself that somebody cared enough to do something small like that, right? Yeah.
I like that. So I know, Chris, we talked about a lot of things today, but can you give me a quick summary of when brakes can be harmful and when they can be a positive thing? But then also with the gas, when having too much gas could be harmful, or when it also could be good. So can you kind of summarize that a little bit?
Sure. First, let's talk about the brakes part, right? So if you go through life and your foot's on that brake, right? It's not pressing on it, but it's on it. You may miss some of the opportunities because you're so focused on stopping that you forget you got another pedal over there. That's the gas. So you have to really be careful. And the other part of that is on the brake side of it is that sometimes brakes are necessary. And brakes are necessary if you have a relationship that's damaging you mentally, obviously, physically, emotionally. Brakes are needed. You've got to pump the brakes. In fact, that one, you got to cut the fat right out. You're done. You have to sever that relationship. That's an extreme, right? So brakes are needed. Of course, they're needed. And when you sense danger, right, when you're going through an intersection and if something catches you, you hit those brakes because it's danger. And that's the same thing. You have to use brakes, but you have to do it in a measured way. We don't necessarily ride the brakes all the time.
Right.
You have to be ready to hit the gas. And on the gas part of it, it's kind of the opposite, right? If we're constantly hitting the gas, we'll never touch the brakes, a couple things are going to happen. One, not sustainable. There's no way that is sustainable because you're going to miss the important things along the way, right? If all you're doing is hitting the gas, you forget about the building blocks, the fundamentals that got to the point where these opportunities are in front of you. So you have to be super careful not to always hit the gas, right? Practice that 24-hour rule where you sit on it and you wait 24 hours before you make a decision, a major decision. You don't have to make a decision in 10 minutes or an hour or, 24 hours is plenty of time to sit on something, and sometimes you may not have that. Very rare instances you may not have that, but 90-some% of the time where an opportunity presents itself, you're going to have time to think it over. You don't want to say, well, I need a week or I need a month. No, you gotta hit it, or you're gonna miss the opportunity. That's when you need the gas. You need to make sure that when an opportunity presents itself, especially if we're talking specifically about the real estate market, right? When opportunity presents itself, man, you need to hit it. you know, and you can't dilly-dally, because guess what? There's 5 people behind you or 10 people deep.
So true.
They're gonna just take it, right? Like right now, I just got a off-market deal this morning. Somebody sent me in my neighborhood just for kicks and giggles about the value of a house. And he basically says 30% overpriced. I hope they get it. That means your house is worth more money.
Wow.
And I'm like, yeah, I'll take it, you know. But and right now you'll find, and this is a little bit off the subject, but in a way it's not. Right now, in this market, I'm talking specifically in the Midwest, where markets just still doing very, very well, and even in other markets as well. The best markets, their best deals right now are what we call off-market deals.
Correct.
They're not listed.
Right.
They're not for sale. It's a realtor telling a friend who's telling
Right.
a friend who's telling a friend, this guy's going to sell, come on the market in a week. But I mean, those are really great opportunities. That's when you gotta hit the gas, you know, and whatever it is, you know, whether you're building widgets or polishing shoes or doing real estate deals, whatever it is that your forte is, you have to be ready and have the mindset. Yeah.
I like that. Well, appreciate you guys tuning in today. I'll see you guys next week for some more awesome nuggets. But we're gonna be talking about some really cool stuff. So see you guys next week.
Thanks for listening.